Via Earth Cam on Launch Complex 39B at the Kennedy Space Center. Now, that is the space launch system which is being prepared to send 4 human beings on a journey around the moon, something which mankind hasn't accomplished since December of 1972. The 4-person crew is now in quarantine, and the first launch window opens coming up very soon on February 6th. Well, 40 years ago today, a different spacecraft lifted off from that same launch pad. It was on this day in 1986 that the Space Shuttle Challenger cleared the tower and went right there into the sky. A lot of you may remember this, but the failure of a solid rocket booster 73 seconds after launch led to the shuttle being destroyed. 7 people on board lost their lives, including New Hampshire school teacher Christina McAleef. So these 2 moments serve as powerful reminders of what's at stake in human spaceflight and how much is still being discovered. So let's get some context now with Jud Ready, Executive Director of Georgia Tech's Space Research Institute. Glad to have you with us this morning. So we just kind of took a look back at those 2 moments, and when you put those 2 moments together exactly 40 years apart, what do you think this says about our goal and our aim of reaching for the stars eventually?
Exploration is, Jonathan, first of all, thank you for having me on here. But I would say exploration is just built into the DNA of humans from the various early beginning, many millions of years ago to today, pushing the boundaries of where a human can live, whether it's expanding across cold areas or expanding into the outer space, living on the moon or just in orbit on the International Space Station.
Yeah, and a lot of people look back to 40 years ago today. As we mentioned, Challenger is often described as a turning point in our country's space program. So how do you think that that moment and that tragedy, if you will, changed the public's understanding of the risks involved when it comes to astronauts and what they do, going up into space?
Vividly, I was in middle school at the time. We had the TV rolled in to social studies class. We were watching it live as it happened. I had wanted to be an astronaut since first grade at that point, so I was all into the space shuttle, really interested in it at the time. It was becoming normal for spaceflight. They didn't even show it on the news occasionally for a launch. The astronauts themselves no longer wore spacesuits. They just wore like regular jumpsuits. So there was becoming this, that it was not a dangerous aspect, that it was going to be something just like flying a regular commercial airliner. But unfortunately, we learned very much the hard way that is not the case.
Absolutely. And let's look ahead now to the 4 astronauts flying Artemis 2. What kind of history and how much history do you think they'll be taking with them?
What a wonderful experience. I mean, I was just barely 2 years old the last time humans went to the moon. So to have the ability, we all thought we would be having colonies on the moon by now, if you believed all the hype back then. So to be finally back there after all this time, half century into my life at this point, to be able to fly there, we're not landing, we're just testing a variety of different capabilities, but still to be able to visually see the far side of the moon, for instance. Very few humans have done that, only a dozen with their own eyes. We've certainly seen it in pictures. So I think it's great. I think the future of humankind is exploration and settlement and expansion. And the moon's the next logical step, Mars after that, and so on and so forth through the upcoming thousands and thousands of years ahead of us.
Yeah, a lot, still in the pipeline to go. But let's talk before you go. I got about 30 seconds here. When it comes to NASA, how do you think the agency has changed in terms of transparency compared to the shuttle era of 40 years ago or so when it came to some of these potential concerns?
I was rereading, just doing the homework before this, to read the lessons learned from the Apollo 1 tragedy, the Challenger tragedy that we're talking about, as well as the Columbia tragedy. All of these happened within a week or so of each other, many decades apart, but they're all like right now, basically. And there's a lot of similarities between them. There's what's called go fever, where there's just, you want to push towards launch, you work so hard, you want to launch. And that comes from astronauts, managers, and engineers along the way. There's the acceptance of deviance, which is when readings are just slightly outside of the nominal range. But you begin to accept that, so you make the range a little bit bigger, bigger, and bigger. And then finally, there's the not listening to the engineer. I'm an engineer by training, also a manager, though, and sometimes we don't make the same decisions as managers as we would as engineers.
All right, Jud Ready, we're out of time, but we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks so much.